Indian history, where do we find the first mention of the term social contract? Not exactly through those words, but the idea is reflected in Indian history.
You said it means unique. Tell me something unique about yourself that will make you a unique civil servant.
What is India's role in changing global order? Recently, what the scenario is going on everywhere in Pakistan, in China, Russia-Ukraine war. What is India's role in that, or how the role is changing in coming years?
Anup, tell something about yourself in 60 seconds.
Sir, as a person, I come across very open. So I find it very easy to strike communication with others. Secondly, sir, I really like taking initiatives wherever I find an opportunity, and that gives me a inner satisfaction, sir. Thirdly, sir, as a person, I'm a very wise spender. Having studied in a boarding school from very young, I always look to optimize resources wherever possible in personal life. And apart from that, sir, I've been preparing for the civil services from past 5 years. And recently, I finished my post graduation in the field of public administration.
You said that you like taking initiatives. Can you highlight 3 best initiatives that you have taken in your life so far, apart from the thing that you have prepared for this examination? Outside this field of this exam,
Yeah.
3 initiatives.
Sir, firstly, I would like to recall initiative I've taken in school time. As a head of boarder, sir, my duty was to bring more people into extracurriculars. So what we had done at that particular time, at that time IPL was very famous, sir. So we started something known as Borders Premier League, wherein we categorize students into different teams, and we tried to inculcate a spirit of competition, because many people we saw, sir, that after school they used to come and sleep, and then they used to go for studies. So when this initiative was started, sir, we saw that the captains themselves were taking initiative. Like students were going, practicing. There was this competitive spirit among them. And best thing was, sir, even after the tournament got over, we saw that that thing got cultivated in the future also.
So this is just one.
Yes.
I asked for 3.
Second is the extracurricular activities again, sir. There, public speaking was one of the issues that students were facing. So what we started, we used to pray before and after eating every day, and our leaders used to go and pray in the mic. So what we did, 5 days we distributed different classes. For example, on Monday class, first student, Tuesday class, second student will go and say the prayer. So that way, sir, that confidence was built among the students. And thirdly, sir, as a volunteer in the vaccination drive, I, along with my team, what we started, sir, we started taking participation of volunteers, citizen participation in administration. That we saw brought goodwill to the administration, bridged the manpower deficit that we were facing, and sir, also that one thing led to another, and it was hugely successful.
You volunteered where? In Sundargarh?
Yes, sir. Sundargarh, there is a city known as Rourkela, sir. So Rourkela administration.
You did there in that area, Rourkela. How many COVID cases in Rourkela till date?
Sir, I'm not able to recall. I will.
Okay, percentage wise, which vaccine has been administered to most of the people?
Sir, it is Covishield.
Okay. Have you heard about the National Medical Register, which is very much recently in news?
So yes, I have heard about it.
Okay. Can you tell me something about it?
Sir, that is in context of the digitization of the health sector that we are seeing. In that aspect, the National Medical Register will register all the hospitals and all the medical institutions there, that I can recall, sir, at this moment.
Okay. Have you heard about the National Exit Test Next?
Yes, sir. Sir, in the field of medical, the final year examination of the undergraduate students will be replaced by next, and that would also act as an entrance examination for the postgraduate.
Sir,
With my limited knowledge, I can recall that, sir, but I will definitely go back and.
what about US MLE?
No, sir. Pardon me.
Okay. Try to read about it. What is it? Do a SWOT analysis.
Sir, firstly, talking about the strengths of Rourkela. It is the steel city of Odisha, sir. Rourkela steel plant is located there. Secondly, sir, after initiation of smart city, we have seen drastic changes in the city in the last 4 to 5 years. And thirdly, sir, it would be hosting the Hockey World Cup next year, 2023. Weaknesses, sir. Firstly, it is a developing city, sir. So we see issues such as traffic congestion, illegal parking, that. And secondly, sir, issue of slums. About from the population is 6 lakh, and I think the slum population is around 1.5. Opportunity, sir. As I had spoken about the Hockey World Cup, so there's an opportunity, and the city is also famous for tourism. So next year, when many people come, it's an opportunity for Rourkela and the people and the administration to showcase its tourism potential. And threat would be the environmental issues, sir. We have seen, especially in the district of Sundargarh, the issues like man-animal conflict, forest fires, and in the Rourkela as such, sir, we see issues of air pollution. So that is a threat.
You talked about the Rourkela steel plant. It draws its water from.
So there are two rivers in the district. One is Sank, another is Koyal. So from the Sank river, the Rourkela district has established a dam which directly delivers water to the steel plant.
Worth of that steel plant.
Sir, I'm sorry, I don't recall.
In terms of ranking, where it is placed.
Sir, it is among the top. I can talk about the turnover of the Rourkela steel plant. If you have from last 3 to 4 years, so the turnover is around 20,000 crore, and it is making an annual profit of about 1,000 crore. So among the enterprises under the sale, it is among the best, sir. And it was ranked the best in 2019.
You have done your bachelor's in engineering, industrial engineering and management, and then you have gone for your master's in public administration. So why you switched from engineering to public administration, and why not again in the field of technology?
Sir, my engineering specialization is industrial engineering and management. So I had taken that intentionally, sir, because in the final years we had been taught about management, and apart from that, sir, I started preparing for civil services, and my optional was public administration. So where I had acquired quite limited amount of knowledge, so I thought, sir, opting for post graduation will actually enhance my knowledge.
Conscious decision which would assist you in your preparation for civil services.
Yes.
Okay. Have you heard about the postmodern public administration theory?
Yes, sir, I have.
Can you elaborate that theory?
Sir, if we just compare postmodern to say the modern public administration theory was more about universalistic, generic theories, one size fits all approach. But postmodern in the field of public administration aims to appreciate diversity, sir. Localism, bringing in more pluralistic theories, ensuring that the theories are more ground reality based, empiricism, all these things.
More nearer to free market or controlled systems?
Sir, in my opinion, it would be near the free market, but then the idea is a collaborative governance, wherein we talk about multiple stakeholders coming together to improve the governance as a whole.
What about the term called fragmentation of state and authority?
Sir, no, sir, I'm sorry.
If you have to make an understanding out of it, what can you do? Fragmentation of state and authority.
Sir, we see that now different specialization is being promoted. So more and more we see the division of power, more and more units are being set up. So because of that, we see that there is lots of fragmentation, and sometimes, sir, the coordination is impacted. I can take an example, sir. I have studied in Bengaluru for more than 10 years. So, sir, right now there are more than 10 agencies who are responsible for lake management. Bangalore Sewage Board, Bangalore Development Authority. So because of that, sir, at times coordination suffers, there accountability weakens, and there is no unity of command. So for me, that would be, sir, fragmentation of authority as well as the.
Okay. Can you define state and define it to a layman?
Sir, I would ask a layman to explain or to tell me what he can see around himself wherever I am. For instance, I am in the street. I can tell him what can he see outside. He can see that the roads are built very well. He can talk about the traffic lights. He can talk about the waste management. He can talk about the environment. So I will say, sir, the primary responsibility of all this is state, although there are multiple players. Similarly, sir, my question to him would change depending upon the surroundings.
What you're saying is more or less manifestation of good governance, or rather the lack of it. That's the responsibility of the government, not the state.
So yes, in a way, it is true, sir, that whatever I spoken is that is about government, but government is overall part of state, sir. Although yes, the responsibility is broad based and very dynamic, but then, so the core of government for a layman would be that. Although we see there is presence of international relations, there is talk about security.
My question remains: how would you define state to a layman? I'm not talking about the attributes of the state or the responsibilities of state.
Sir, state to a layman, I would define as the overarching authority which is responsible for taking care of the people in every way possible. We can talk about any area, and we see that the state is primary responsibility for that. And I can talk about history also, that how the concept of state had come. I can talk to him about the social contract, that initially there was no one, so you had everything you could do. I could do everything, and that was not sustainable. And that is how theory of social contract came, and the state came, and then we see now.
In Indian history, where do we find the first mention of the term social contract? Not exactly through those words, but the idea is reflected in Indian history.
Sir, I think it is Kautilya in his Arthashastra that he has spoken about concepts like Prajahita, Yogakshema. Those are concepts which we talk about the responsibility of state and social contract as such.
About the Lichavis?
Yes, sir.
What about the Mahajanpads?
Yes, sir, I've heard, but I do not know the details, sir. I know.
Was there a social contract between the people of the Indus Valley?
Sir, it is not very clear because we do not know how it was governed, although it is said that there were merchants and there were other people also involved. But sir, there is no clarity as such regarding Indus Valley government.
Can you define anti-positivism?
So can I take a few seconds? Thank you, sir. Sir, positivist, was talking about positivism, that was, sir, value-free administration for me. That was that the goal of the administration was to have a value-free orientation wherein top efficiency was the main goal. But anti-positivism or post-positivist that we say, led by thinkers like Dwight Waldo, they spoke about values in administration, wherein the government was responsible for its people, and so values such as, for example, we can talk about the Nolan values. Those are also core of any government. And now, sir, apart post-positivism, we have seen that both of them have merged, and sir, the means is positivism, whereas the end of a government is post-positivism.
Okay, you talked about the Nolan values. How many Nolan values could be considered as foundational values for civil services?
Talking about the values, sir, there are 7 altogether: honesty, objectivity, leadership, integrity, selflessness, and there are 2 more, sir, I'm not able to recall. Yes, and sir, for me, all these values, I think, are subset of courage. If a person has courage, then only all these values will play a part, sir. So in a way, we can say that all of these values are foundational values, sir. But then ultimately, sir, courage trumps all. When a person has courage, then only he'll have honesty. There will be integrity, according to me, sir.
Anup, what is the difference between courage and fortitude?
Sir, fortitude is more situational, sir, according to me. It is being able to withstand the that particular current adversity. At times of adversity, we see that there's demand for strength, and fortitude is that. Whereas, sir, I think fortitude would be a subset of courage, but ultimately, courageous person can only be have a fortitude characteristic.
According to Plato, which is a cardinal value, courage or fortitude?
Sir, it's courage, if I'm not wrong, sir. There are 4 cardinal values that Plato had given. So, one of them was courage, sir.
I'll go back and look into what I can recall. You have never accepted any form of employment. You have never been employed, rather. Any specific reason for that?
Sir, initially I always wanted to prepare for the civil services, and that was my goal since the time of college. So I started preparing for civil services, sir. And then, sir, from past the beginning 3 attempts, I had reached the interview stage. So I always thought that there is some lacuna that needs to be bridged, and so I didn't take up employment that particular time. And after that, sir, I thought that I should continue my studies. So I joined post graduation in the field of public administration, and also, sir, I really believe that if I have an aim, then I should work 100% towards it to achieve that, sir. And so, in that context, sir, I think, sir, I've taken a conscious decision to first ensure that I.
This could also be construed in a way as if you lack first-hand industry experience.
Sir, firstly, during my college days, I had attended many internships, had gone for many field visits. Apart from that, sir, I've always been trying to be attached to the ground level. For instance, as a volunteer, I ensured that I had some knowledge about it. Similarly, sir, I visit some industries wherever possible. For instance, I visited Rourkela Steel Plant to understand the how the management functions, what are the technology being used, etc.
I was going through your DAF and I found that you love watching movies based on real life stories. Have you watched that movie, The Man Who Knew Infinite?
No, sir, I wanted to watch, but then she mathematician, sir, great mathematician, Sri Ramanuja Charya, I think, I'm not able to. Sir, I'm not able to recall.
Do you intend to say Ramanujam?
Yes.
Okay. If we add all the positive integers, like 1 plus 2 plus 3, and if you go up to infinity, what will be the result?
Sir, it would be still infinity. I'm not sure. I'm not sure, sir.
And this is one of the major findings of Ramanujan. You check it.
Thank
What
you
is
so
the
much.
answer, right? Have you watched the movie The King in the Wilderness?
No, sir.
Okay. This movie is on Martin Luther King Jr. Have you heard about him? Do you remember any of his famous quotes?
Sir, his biography is named as I Had a Dream. That I remember. Apart from that, sir, I may not recall the exact quote, but the essence of that was, that what Gandhiji has said, that be the change that you wish to see in this world. So even he believed in that principle.
Okay. What do you understand by the term Karma Yogi?
Sir, Karma Yogi is a person who's really dedicated towards his work. Talking about historical aspects, sir, Swami Vivekananda had spoken about Karma Yogi, that uh, shows the characteristics of a person who is dedicated, committed, and who likes to take action, who's action driven, and who is duty bound, sir, who considers others' interest or puts collective interest ahead of individual interest. That would be correct.
About Mahatma Gandhi ji. And have you heard about his concept of India of my dreams?
No, sir, I have not.
Suppose Anup has to now define India of his dreams. How it would be, just define in 3 lines. India of your dreams.
2 seconds. Sir, India of my dreams would be where, firstly, we consider ourselves as humans. We are actually human beings. So that, if that is emphasized, that we are all above humans, and we all our distinctions, whatever we see, if that is gone, that would be India of my dreams, sir. Secondly, sir, India would of my dream would be what Dr. Amartya Sen had spoken about in capability approach, wherein an individual has all the choices that he wants to take, and he's capable enough of doing that. And thirdly, sir, internationally speaking, would be where India uh, reaches to its potential, and that I would say is, as we usually say, that India has been in the past, has always been a forerunner. So we need, if we reach our potential internationally, I think that would be one of my dreams. Thank you, sir.
What is the meaning of the name Anup? Why do you spell it as UP and not double O?
Sir, speak first. Answering your second question first, sir. Anup, sir. Actually, my parents had named that. So, and also, sir, Anup, double OP would actually mean that the middle syllable is more dragged. So, my name is Anup, and differentiates from Anup. And talking about the first thing, sir, the meaning, it actually means unique, sir. Uh, wherein it also means that that is actually name of a flower, Anup, and it's named as unique.
Also has got a relation to a pond or a watery body. Any idea?
No, sir. I will go back and repeat.
You said it means unique. Tell me something unique about yourself that will make you a unique civil servant.
Sir, I always try to learn from my environment. For instance, I was sitting just few minutes back. I was sitting in the waiting room in the institute, and there on the board I had read, sir, that problems are not stop points; they are guidelines. Apart from that, if I can recall what I had read in that uh, room, sir, that faith is very important. That one must always have faith. So I think, sir, I always try to learn from my environment and incorporate that. Apart from that, sir, wherever possible, as I've spoken to sir also, that I always try taking initiatives, and I believe that, sir, a small innovation at the ground level, grassroots level, can have an amplifying effect, sir.
Okay, you said you are very fond of hockey, right? And you also made a mention of the 2023 World Cup. Tell me, supposing if you are posted as a district collector and you have been given the responsibility of hosting the national hockey championship, you don't see many people taking interest in this game. What steps would you take? Tell me 3 steps that you would take to make sure that you ensure that the whole show is conducted in a fashion which is uh, probably one of the best ways that you could do it.
Sir, my idea would be to convert that particular championship into a festival. And in that aspect, sir, some of the steps that I can take. One is that, sir, use local culture, for instance, folk songs, local nukkad nataks, so that to raise awareness among the people. That can be, say, in public places where we can actually ask the players also to come. That first would be that, sir. Sir, second would be to organize for example, if I know that a national championship is being conducted, say, 6 months down the line, I would conduct, I would try to promote hockey in school levels, school and colleges. For instance, we can create competition like inter-school competition, so that students also become more enthusiastic. They know about the game, who are playing, etc. And sir, third would be that from the grassroots level, we see that especially in Odisha, or for example, I'm the district collector of my district, sir, Sundargarh. Then, sir, there 50% is tribal population, and many of them reach far away, stay far away from the main stadiums. So I would try to ensure that there is accommodation also, sir, because then only they can come and watch and enjoy the match. And this had happened last year when trials were conducted. So there are many ashram schools, eklavya schools. So district administration tried to raise awareness and also provide accommodation to them.
Let me come back to your date of birth. Do you have any idea as to what is your date of birth celebrated in India as?
Sir, it is the birthday of Chaudhary Charan Singh ji, who was taking lots of initiatives in the field of agriculture. So it is Kisan Day, if I am not wrong, sir.
Kisan Divas, right? Okay. You said just now that this is your fourth attempt at the interview.
Yes.
Where do you think things did not go well?
Sir, I can divide my past experiences into two. First would be the first two attempts, first two interviews. There, sir, I thought that my preparation was mostly in the lines of mains. So my focus was always on exhaustive notes making, trying to do everything possible. But sir, then I realized that interview is about me, and I need to focus on me, what I have done, what I can do, what are my learnings, etc. So that part, I thought that first two attempt that I was missing. And so last year I thought that sir, my interview is mostly solo preparation. I thought, but the interview because that had given me results in prelims and mains, preparing solo strategically. But I thought interview is more about conversation, sir, talking to others, learning from their opinion, building opinion. So that is why now I have taken a conscious decision where I speak to the officers working at the grassroots, say BDO, additional BDO. Also, we have a group wherein every day we practice. And thirdly, sir, I think some kind of anxiousness also was there in previous attempts. So I think that would have also played a role.
You were a university rank holder in, when you were doing your BE. Why do you want to join the civil service? Why not a career in the corporate world as an engineer? You would have made a great mark there also.
Sir, I would like to join the civil services because of the opportunity, sir, that civil services provides to an individual, wherein we can work from starting from grassroots level. We can work to in the higher levels of the administration, as well as earn a respectable place in the society, sir. And also, sir, joining the civil services was a conscious decision because of my past experiences, where in various leadership positions, I've realized that, sir, I have the potential to drive change at grassroots level. And so the impact of that, the initiatives that I've taken before, right now, if I learn from that, so that inspires me to continue doing that in the future.
Okay. Let me come back to hockey. India won. Did India win any medal in the last Olympics?
Team won the bronze medal, and the women's team came fourth.
Tell me about the game that you talked about when India won the bronze. Tell me five significant things about five significant facts about that game.
So can you take few seconds? Yes, sir. Sir, I don't recall the team, but I recall the match. Uh, Firstly, sir, we were trailing in that game, and then we came back. So that shows a lot of character, sir. Secondly, sir, if we analyze the match, then most of the times we were playing with less than the total number of players. For example, total is 11. So we always, most of the time, we had players like 9 or 10. They were sitting because of the green card that they had got. Thirdly, sir, Indian team is mostly known for its skill, and that has been a USP since very long, sir. But now we see that the game of hockey had changed, and that particular game showed the transition that India is making, sir. In terms of strength, stamina, we see that we did not bow down even at the end. Usually, we perform well in the first half. In the second half, our game goes down, but that was not the case at that particular time. And sir, fourth would be the character shown by the goalkeeper, sir. Uh, we were leading in the last few minutes, and the opponent team tried to score at least 4 to 5 times in the last, I think, 2 3 minutes. But then the strength and resolve shown by the goalkeeper Priya Sijesh at that particular time was incredible, sir. And finally, sir, I remember after the match, I remember our honorable Prime Minister speaking to the players and the coach, and the emotions running down that particular time. So that was something memorable for me.
Good. You said India won a bronze medal. Before that, India had won 8 gold medals and 1 silver, if I remember. Right? Had India ever won a bronze medal at the Olympics before this?
Total medals by
11, sir. So as you had said, 8 was gold, 1 is silver, 2 bronze we had won. This was our third bronze, altogether 12 medals that we have won.
When was the last time we won a gold medal?
Sir, I'm not very sure, but I think it was 1980, but I'm not sure. So 1980 or 70s.
Moscow. Uh, you just now said about Rourkela. I know there was a time when Punjab was considered to be the cradle of Indian hockey. Which state is fast emanating as cradle of hockey in India now? And why?
Sir, I think there is cutthroat competition, sir. We see that both these states, if we consider the players in our team, sir, I think about 75% players are from these two states only. Our captain Mandeep Singh is from Punjab, vice captain Birender Lakra is from Odisha. So both these states are doing really well, sir. But if we talk about in the past, sir, if we compare from past, then I would believe, sir, Odisha is doing really well. Punjab had been doing well in the past also, so it had advantage of early mover. But Odisha, it is doing well. And the reason for that is, sir, I think firstly it is the grassroots competition it is organizing. It is organizing inter-district competition to spot good talents. Second is infrastructure, sir. I think in my city itself, Rourkela Steel Plant is managing more than 2 stadiums, and former players have taken initiatives to train. And third, sir, I think involvement of private sector that has made a difference. Tata is running a high performance center. What Odisha has done is that Odisha has collaborated with 10 private sector players and given them 10 different sport disciplines to promote. And so that is making a difference, sir.
When we talk of Odisha, we can't forget talking about an institute there which is earning a lot of reputation. Yes. What do you know about?
Sir, if I'm not wrong, it is the Kalinga Institute of Civil Science. Sir, I do not have much information. I will definitely go back and look into it. What I do know is that it's a university, sir. They have from this completely integrated education, right from school time to the colleges, and even in colleges we see that there are different disciplines.
Separates this institute from other institutes.
Sir, I had visited once because my sister was studying there. So, sir, what I had noticed at ground level that differentiates it from others is the exposure that it is giving to the students, sir. In school time. When we were in school time, sir, we never used to have a lot of exposure.
Major difference.
Sir, I'm not able to.
Anything to do with the tribals?
Sir, I don't have knowledge about it.
Okay, one last question. What is the impact of the India-Australia economic cooperation and trade agreement?
Sir, the impact is multi-varied. Firstly, sir, the bilateral trade between both the countries, it is about $27 billion. So it is expected to rise to $50 billion. Second, sir, employment. It is said that it will create more than 4 to 5 million employment in the long run. Third, sir, I think the way the trade agreement is negotiated, I think it is a learning for us, sir. For instance, many sensitive sectors where we see that it could have been impacted, those have been left out. 96% of India's exports gets access to Australia, whereas 86% of their exports get it. And thirdly, sir, it would also give to the IT sector, wherein we see that the double taxation issue that the IT sector was facing, wherein offshore services are also being taxed, that won't be taxed. So I think that would be another factor. And finally, sir, it would also help our students there because post the college, we've seen that 4 years free visa would be given for study as well as work. So that would be another advantage.
Recently, we heard about the AUKUS, and before that, we had heard about the Quad. Should India be a part of AUKUS or not?
Sir, if we talk about Quad, then Quad is mostly economic centric, sir. We see that now it has become. And the focus is to promote critical technologies, more collaboration in the Indo-Pacific, and AUKUS is more tilted towards security. Sir. We see that before nuclear submarine, now hypersonic missiles, and one area where India wants to do well is maritime security, sir. That is on a part of our concern. So joining AUKUS may help us in that direction, sir. But then, sir, if we talk about the three partners there, none of them share border with China. None of them faces the issue that we have. There is already an apprehension that we have joined Quad to restrain China, but that may not be completely true, sir. We have joined for our own reasons. So in that context, sir, I think collaboration will with them may help, but joining AUKUS, I don't think is the right thing, sir, because we already have nuclear submarine. We are working towards hypersonic missiles, and we have already moved fairly advanced in that stage. So bilaterally, we already have signed logistics agreement with all the three countries. So I don't think AUKUS joining AUKUS will help us.
We also have a project called as Project 75. Any idea what that is about?
Yes, sir. If I'm not wrong, sir, it is a project to develop electronic submarines with air propulsion systems. Uh, Sir, I am not able to recall it.
Nuclear.
So basically, that allows us to, sir, I'll definitely go back and look into it. I'm confused. Sir, it is to promote development of submarines, and that is in collaboration with France, wherein and also, sir, our local industries have been involved in the manufacturing sector. So that would also give flip to the defense indigenization.
Recently, I'm sorry, I'm exceeding my time, but we talked in terms of the French collaboration. Recently, we heard about an Indian collaboration, HEL, collaborating with an Israeli organization. Very recently, for something called as the MMTT. Have you heard about that? What is it about?
Sir, I'm not able to recall, but can I take a guess? Is it about the medium range missiles system, sir?
It is about refuelers, mid-air refuel. Any idea about it?
No, sir.
What is the need of a mid-air refueling for India at the current moment?
Sir, it would help us strategically. Uh, we see that we are facing border issues with China, and even Pakistan's air force is being upgraded, especially with the help of China. So mid-air refueling will help us to last long during the time of combat. And we have seen that last year only, last year we had with Pakistan the combat by the air force. So in that context, it would help us. Sir, full-fledged, I would say it was the 1971 and the Kargil War. They both that times Indian Air Force was involved. But last year also we saw that there was a combat, sir, wherein our wing commander was was actually captured there in the Pakistan, and he had been brought back.
What was his name?
Sir, I do not remember his insignia, and that would be wrong in my part, sir. But name is Abhinandan. But I think squadron leader Abhinandan. I'm not sure. Sir.
What do you mean by insignia?
So that would be designation in that particular institution or organization.
Is it the insignia or is it the designation?
Sir, it is the designation. Sorry, sir. Thank you. Sir.
Thank you.
Anup, you are from Raurkela. What are the pull factors present in Raurkela for location of a specific kind of industry?
Sir, firstly is the presence of raw materials. Raurkela and Keoghjhar district both comprise of 1/3 of total Odisha's minerals, iron ore, coal, limestone, etc. Second, sir, would be presence of water. There are two rivers that are passing through the district, Sank and Koyal. Third, sir, would be the connectivity. Raurkela is at the transit route from Calcutta to Bombay, sir, the railway route. Apart from that, is that direct connectivity with the port, Paradeep, etc. So that another, sir. Fourth is, sir, presence of labor is also there, sir. So these are the pull factors, I think.
Trickle down theory has not worked for Raurkela. Do you believe this?
Sir, not to the extent that we would have liked, although it had given certain benefits, but yes, it overall, sir, there were certain challenges in that. But because Rourkela steel plant was made keeping in mind that it would actually promote many MSMEs around it. But if we see or if we analyze the last 5-6 decades, sir, then many industries have come, sir, but they are mostly traders. There is no value addition which is taking place. That is the main issue. Apart from that, sir, Rourkela steel plant is a capital intensive industry. So capital goods after that directly being exported. Rather than that, if you could have brought in more industries which could actually convert that into finished goods, that would have helped us.
Asking is, has Rourkela steel plant been successful in dissipating the benefits to the masses of Rourkela, the locals of Rourkela?
Sir, earlier I was talking about from the economic point of view, but sir, if you see a macro perspective, then sir, Rourkela steel plant has done a tremendous job, in my opinion, sir. Apart from economic, what it is making already a profit, we see that the recent COVID time, the entire medical infrastructure main role was played by Rourkela steel plant. It had established 3 hospitals, increased COVID beds, etc.
General question, not specific to health or this crisis, which was unique in nature. I'm asking you that has Rourkela steel plant provided the benefit to the masses what it was made for?
Yes, it has. Uh, it was made for firstly employment, sir. We see that right now it employs about 12,000 people. So they've become local, most of them. Uh, Even if they came from outside, they had.
There is an argument going on that they import workforce from outside, and that is why, although they were envisaged to be creating more jobs locally, they are importing workforce. Rourkela is also doing that.
Sir, every industry, sir, would have people from both locals as well as thing. But Rourkela steel plant, sir, it is also providing skill to the local people so as to employ them, say, in the ground level jobs. Apart from that, sir, if we speak about the indirect impact that Rourkela steel plant is making in terms of employment, that is also huge, sir. We see different areas where it has worked. Is all local employment there. It has also promoted employment in the sense that, sir, it is adopted many villages and it is providing them skill, providing them the wherewithals, entrepreneurship, mentorship. So in that aspect, sir, it has done well for the locals also.
Okay. What is India's role in changing global order? Recently, what the scenario is going on everywhere in Pakistan, in China, Russia-Ukraine war. What is India's role in that, or how the role is changing in coming years?
So the role of India in definitely expanding than what we had seen in the past. Sir, we see that right now there are two blocks which are emerging. One is the Western led by US, and secondly is China centric led by Russia. And if we see, then India is only one of the few countries which have good relations with both the blocks. And that is why we had seen that recently leaders from different countries had also visited India. So, sir, India's role, talking about multilaterally in different institutions, India's role in terms of, say, South-South cooperation, we as be a leader of other people also, other countries like developing and low developed countries, that is bound to rise, sir. And thirdly, sir, in the neighborhood also, we are seeing that there are crises in Sri Lanka, there is crisis in Myanmar, there is an issue with Nepal, Pakistan, everywhere, and we have seen that we are involved, sir. And in that aspect also, I think our role is expanding.
Okay. You must have read about Swami Dayanand Saraswati. Have you? Any specific attributes of Swamiji you do not like or do not admire?
Sir, I have read about Swami Dayanand Saraswati, but not very deeply, sir. I can talk about his achievements and the initiatives that he has taken. Uh, but, sir, to talk about the specific characteristics of Swami Dayanand Saraswati, sir, I may not have the required knowledge to comment on that, sir.
Okay. Your option was public administration. From the public administration viewpoint, establish for me a linkage between God and government.
Sir, historically, it was seen that religious-based laws were in vogue. So that aspect, sir, the source of laws were religion. Slowly, over the years, we saw that public administration drifted towards the secular made laws. Constitution came into being, man-made laws, and the concept of secularism starting from French Revolution, and now we see that is there, sir. So now I see, sir, that religious has become a personal sphere, and public administration per se, there's a some kind of separation, sir, between God.
More on religion and government. I am focusing on God and government. Let me simplify for you. At some point, government is considered to be equivalent to God. So, is this thinking changing in contemporary times, or still the belief is same that government is equivalent to God? As God has a responsibility to look after everyone, in the same fashion, government has also this responsibility to look after everyone. Is this thinking changing in some fashion? It is definitely changing. So if we
Talk about in the past, we used to say that the king is the law, and now we say that the law is the king. So if we compare government to God, or say at that particular time, kings used to function. So whatever they said was correct, sir. Their morality was people's morality. But now that is not so, sir. We see that the government is working in consonance with people. So people have equal stakeholdership. So everything is debated, analyzed, and then we come to a conclusion. So I think, sir, in that aspect, I would say that God does play a part, but then right now we see that the thing is reduced, the impact on public administration.
okay. Recently, there is a controversy going on regarding non-vegetarian food. You must have read it in newspapers. What is your take on that? Should a specific period be designated as a period with where no non-veg food should be allowed, or a specific location should be designated or earmarked in a manner that no non-veg food should be allowed?
So ultimately, our fundamental rights provide us the right to choice. Trying to have whatever
Food we would like to eat, when we would like to eat, where we would like to eat. So apart from that, sir, I think there is also a right to economic livelihood under Article 19. So considering these things, sir, I don't think putting a blanket ban, say, on a region or a particular time may be right, sir. Yes, people have their own choices, sir, and if that particular thing happens, that, say, for example, some festival is going on and people, so locally, sir, actions can be taken after consulting with each other. But putting a ban, say, on a particular time or particular location may not be right, in my perspective.
Consultation, what you are talking about, it should be consensus based, or do you have any other mechanism in mind? What if the consensus is not in different stakeholders? How should we approach?
So then the law should take its course, and the law says that, as I had spoken about in earlier things,
Law is unjust. Would you implement such law? If it at core of the heart you believe that the law is unjust, what would be your stand?
I will take two references, sir. First, Gandhiji had said that unjust law is no law at all, and secondly, sir, Socrates, if you talk about same philosophically, he had been imprisoned and sentenced to death because he spoke truth. And when he was asked to leave, he was asked to escape, he said no. Although the law is unjust, law must take its course. But yes, we as individuals, responsible individuals, must try.
From your answer is you said that unjust law is no law at all. That means you won't consider an unjust law to be a law, and you will refrain yourself from implementing it. Am I correct?
No, sir. Perhaps I did not portray my come across.
No? Yes.
I'm just trying to say what I'm trying to say.
Here is that, sir, the unjust law is not no law at all. That's for because it is inherently unjust.
Or not? That was my question simply.
I would implement it, sir. But then I would also take a conscious effort to bring an amendment. For example, as a citizen,
I can petition my representative and I also can send a letter to the uh, administration. I also collaborate with other NGOs to ensure that that law is changed. But then I will
Okay. This is your fourth interview, right? You're since last 5 years you are preparing for civil services, and don't you think your adamancy, what I call, in joining civil services, is hampering what you could have done in nation building, or how you would have contributed economically to the nation, to your family, to yourself? It is hampering that, or it is acting as a hindrance in that path.
Sir, I believe that this is an investment that I'm making, sir. Investment for the future. If I'm able to succeed in what I'm doing, sir, then I would be able to make much larger impact when since I get an opportunity to join the civil services. So in that aspect, sir, I would say I'm right now planning or in that preparatory stage. So it would not be hampering the nation at this moment, sir. Because once I get into the services, I think, sir, I would make up for the time that I have spent preparing for the services, the values that I have learned. And one thing I've realized is, sir, that after preparing for civil services, everybody is a winner, irrespective of the result.
Okay. You believe in which school of thought, pragmatic or idealistic?
Sir, long term wise, I would be always thinking about idealistic, and in short term, it would be pragmatic, sir.
I think in short run you are being idealistic. Long term you might get pragmatic. Nonetheless, your service preference shows that custom and central excise you have accorded fourth preference, and income tax the fifth preference. Indian Revenue Services. Why is that? Any specific reason?
Sir, I had consulted some of my seniors, and they suggested me, sir, that right now after the implementation of GST, the work has become more diverse, more challenging in IRS GST. So there will be more opportunity for me, and IT also is a very good service, sir. But then right now we see that the focus more is towards stability, and GST has a lot more challenges and diversity, sir. So because of that.
How focused on stability in IT?
So that there are not many large scale changes that we are seeing. The changes that is there, that is only continuity with change that we are seeing in IT. For example, income tax slabs being changed and other things. But if you see GST, sir, it is a transformational change that we have seen. And so in that context, I said the challenges would be much more, sir.
Okay. In India, there are. It is the saying goes like this, that we have lesser roads and more cars. What is the reason behind that?
Sir, reasons can be multiple, sir. If I talk about Bangalore, I'm from Bangalore, sir. I've studied there for a long period of time. So density is very less. For instance, in Delhi, if you see once there is 21 kilometers per square kilometer road, whereas in Bangalore there is 9. So at times the road density is less. Secondly, the population is rising, especially in urban areas, and so because of that, we see that the population, there are many other new vehicles that are coming in on the roads. And apart from that, sir, the traffic congestion is one of the issue. That because of that, sir, mismanaged traffic at times make us believe that the roads are.
Why we have lesser roads? What you are mentioning is the problem with road infrastructure we have. I am asking you why we have lesser roads and more cars.
So that is because the capacity development has not been kept pace with the rising vehicles and population. So that would be the reasons.
Okay. One last question from my side. Uh, your mother tongue is Hindi, right? Uh, Tell me a quotation in Hindi which has a mention or passing reference of the qualities you have and also the weaknesses you can have an established quotation or of a quotation of an established thinker, or you can yourself make your own quotation. Sure.
Sir, I'm not able to make a quote right now. But I can speak about Sir Shri Atal Bihari Vajpayee had spoken in the parliament that whatever we do, he said in Hindi that कल जो था वो वही रहेगा, आज जो है वही रहेगा, सब चीज चलते रहेगी पर हम नहीं बदलने चाहिए. The situation around us changes, but then we should remain what we are. So I'm not able to recall the exact quote, but that was the essence of the quote that Shri Atalji had made on the floor of the parliament. So that I would say. Thank you.
Anup, one final question before we end this interaction. You might have come across this famous slogan, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas, Sabka Prayas. Add a fifth to this.
सबकी आवाज.
Your interview is over. We will reconnect with you in some time for your feedback. Anup, before I come to the feedback section, I would like you to self-evaluate your performance. And if you have to rate your performance on a scale of 10, where will you place yourself?
It would be around 3.5 to 4.
You're being modest.
Firstly, I think sir's questions, many times I was not able to answer them directly. I think question was something, I was saying something, then sir had to repeat that what I'm trying to say is this. So I think that is very important to answer the question rather than talking about. Sometimes, sir, right now I feel that I have so much knowledge that at times it becomes, I go ahead and that may not be required. So that I'm trying to work, but then I think I should stop at say 2 or 3 points rather than going on and on. Apart from that, sir, there were certain areas where I could have easily maximized. Like sir had talked about, say, a quote in Hindi, and I said something which was really not what sir had asked for. So those things.
I hope you see that self-realization is the first step towards improvement, right? First, we must understand this, dear, that it is not a test of your knowledge. Your knowledge has already been tested in the pre and in the mains. This is the test of your personality. What is being actually looked at? These things, whether you have intellectual depth or not, or you are intellectually shallow. Do you have balance of opinions? Do you have values like non-partisanship, impartiality, integrity, compassion, etc.? Will you contribute in the delivery of social justice? Do you have temperament to serve with perseverance? Right? And how do you respond in stress? Are you a problem solver? Are you a problem maker? Can you resolve crisis? Right? These are the things that are being looked at. The aim is to judge that whether you can be trained or not. That is what is being looked at, right? So it's a complete analysis of your personality. The way you talk, the way you walk, the way you present yourself, the way you make decisions, right? The thought process, everything. So let me highlight the good things first. You are very well dressed for the occasion, but I would like the tie to be placed a bit more appropriate because your buttons are visible. That gives an impression as if you are in a relaxed frame of mind. You have excellent communication skills. Your command over language is brilliant. You maintained a good smile, decent smile throughout the interview, which was a very good thing to notice. You are very decent, very polite. Your personality radiates positivity. Some of your answers were brilliant. And let me highlight some of the answers which I liked personally. First, when I asked you the very first question, tell me something about yourself in 60 seconds. That was very well handled. Karma Yogi, you answered that very well. You were never been employed. The reasons behind it. So You made a good answer there as well. India of my dreams. I like that answer. Unique about yourself, the name and something, you handled that very well. Hockey tournament arrangement. Then bronze medal hockey. Well, the thing that is being tested in this question was not the facts, but how do you respond when facts are asked from you? So you made some good statements there also. Punjab versus Odisha, very good answer. India-Australia trade agreement. One of the highlights of your entire interview was the Quad and AUKUS answer. It reflected balance of opinion. Also, I can relate it to India's changing role in the new world order. That was also handled very well. Some of the questions could have been handled better, like you have already realized some of them. I'm not going to repeat that. But some information that you have passed were not correct. Like you said, an unjust law is no law at all. Who said this? It was Saint Augustus, right? Gandhiji reiterated it. He was defending his civil disobedience. An unjust law is no law at all. Hence, we must disobey within the realms of non-violence. Right? So be correct with your facts. Do not misquote anyone. Then the answer which you gave at the fag end of the interview, Sabki Awaaz, it was very good. Actually, what I wanted to test was presence of. I was not looking for something that would rhyme, but you nailed it. So it was very good. So be appropriate when you quote someone, especially a person of eminence, right? Now let me talk about those areas where you need improvement. Apart from what you have already said, the way you took off your mask was terrible. Never take your mask off like that, right? It gave an impression of some Marvel movie. It has to be decent. Right? Take it from the lower end of your face, not the upper end. Don't pull it out like a helmet. Clear? And then you placed your mask all the time on your face. It was not correct. The right way of gentleman behavior is take off the mask, put it inside your jacket, so it does not distract anybody's attention. The way you were sitting, okay, your sitting posture was appropriate, but it could be better. Like your spinal cord should touch the back of the seat. In that way, you remain relaxed as well as you look very attentive. Do you understand that? Sometimes I felt that you were bending over. You were dragging your feet under the chair. These are signs of anxiety and gave an impression as if you want the thing to end as soon as possible. Right? So, and your hands were continuously where they were throughout the interview. It gave a very mechanical appearance. So, in between, you can change your hand position. Do not move your hands very drastically, but sometimes you can lock your fingers. Do not hold them like this, otherwise you'll start playing with them. Lock your fingers. You can put your fist around the hand like this, or something, right? So make these changes. Your feet should be parallel to your knees, right? They are now dragged inside. When you place them ahead of your knees, it gives a laid back kind of attitude. Dragged inside, it means anxious, nervous. This is the right posture. The knees should be and the feet should be in line, right? And the distance should be slightly lower. Otherwise, if you spread your legs too far, yes, this would be more appropriate, right? And feet slightly open. Feet closed, toes open, right? So that would be the right posture to sit. Your eye contact was not appropriate. The right way of having the eye contact is when somebody asks you the question, look into that person's eyes and wait for the question to finish. Once the question is finished, do not shoot your answer because there could be a supplementary question or a clarification around that question, right? So wait for that moment. This showcases a value of your personality, which is patience, right? Very key attribute in administration, because in administration, most of the days would be days of failure, very few days of success, right? So you have to be patient in what you do. Once the question is done, then it would be better if you slightly lower your gaze. Then it gives an impression you are thinking about the question and you do not have a ready-made answer. Right? So it again highlights one aspect of your personality, that you engage in the thought process, right? Which is very key element. Then while you're answering, pick your gaze up and look at the person who has asked you the question. Primarily, 60 to 70% of time should be dedicated towards that person. The rest 30 or 40 should be divided equally or almost equally between other members in the panel. Otherwise, they might feel left out and they may take offense of it, may award you extremely less marks, and the overall average marks will come. Right? And when you are making that eye contact there, keep this in mind that you do not shift your eyes drastically. Rather, it should be a smooth movement. The head should also move. The head should not be moving very fast or very slow, but appropriately, and the eyes should move with the head. It should not be like this. It showcases as if you want to avoid the person. Right? So keep that thing in mind. Your answers were terribly long at places. You have to cut down because you are still, as you rightly realized, you are still in the frame of the mains. First, you create a background, then you come up with your points, and then you wait for that beautiful conclusion that you will give. Dear, this is a personality test, right? Sometimes you might not even get 50 seconds to answer your question. There could be an interjection, there could be a counter question, there could be a supplementary question, there could be a random question. So in the personality test, your best point should be your first point, and it has to be very precise, right? If I ask Anup, what do you like to eat? And if you start answering that I like all kinds of cuisines, many of them are good for health, just come up with the answer. What you like to eat. You have to be very straightforward. Then the seniors will engage with you very regularly. Otherwise, they will avoid you. अरे ये बहुत बात करता है. Do you understand that? So keep that thing in mind. Then question was like, say 3 things. I asked it specifically. Sir asked it specifically. 3 things. आप एक बताते हो फिर उसे दूसरे को एक्सप्लेन करने लग जाते हो. एक बार तो मैंने बोला भी था. What is the second and third? Right? So do not lose track of the question. Keep that thing in mind. While you were getting up and you were leaving the room, you almost stumbled. Right? Sometimes what happens, Anup, is everything went well, but as you are leaving, suppose outside the door you just do this or something like that, and the door is slight closing like this, right? We can see you. Do you get it? So it seemed that you were acting, that you are relaxed, but you were not. So keep that thing in mind. Take time to sit and take time to get up. Because once you have taken your seat, you cannot change your position drastically. Do not sit at the edge of the seat. Right? One thing which I wanted to ask you, you talked about the Tata High Performance Center. That's for hockey. Then have you heard about the Tata Football Academy? Tata Football Academy in Jamshedpur.
I know that Disco has been doing
But there is a football academy by Tata. So my question was actually, which because of the time I could not ask you, what is the contribution of Tata in cricket?
it is sponsoring.
Right. So keep that thing in mind, right? So there could be some kind of questions like that. You can relate to that. So Anu, this was my feedback. Other honorable members will give their own, but overall, you are a bright prospect, and I have a hunch, strong hunch, you are into the list, son, this year. Do not miss this opportunity, right?
Yes.
I would like to start where he ended. I have a very strong hunch you're making this. Very strong hunch. In doing so, in our feedback, we are giving you a 360-degree feedback. Right? It's not just one dimension. It is all directions. And the purpose of this is to make sure that this is your last attempt. You don't have to go through the rigmarole once again, right? So take the feedback in the right spirit and act on that and make us proud, right? Okay. So you made a very smart entry, but your exit was a little changed. I'll tell you good things as well as things which could be improved. You had your coat buttoned when you came in. When you sat down, you opened your button. When you got up, you again put on your button. That is exactly what the coat etiquettes are, and you've done each of them wonderfully. Do that. Your tie is too short, right? The tie should be a little longer. Is this a dress you're going to be wearing for the final day? I will advise you to go in for a tie color which is not so striking. It's not so bold. Uh, red tie is okay if the color suits you, but going for something which has got a little bit of some sort of a design on it, so it doesn't catch the eye. Red is too bold actually, right? So all the attention, rather than your face, was going on the tie all the way. So that is one place where you can make a little difference. You have not shaved today, which I did not like. Why? Because this is a final rehearsal, and you should have come here in the same manner as you would have been, as you would go prepared for the actual interview. Right? Go, doesn't matter. For the final interview, make sure you go in properly shaved. Going in unshaved or maybe shaving 24 hours before gives us, an impression of taking it too casually. Okay? And here, if you look at your picture and you look at your hairstyle now, you can see the difference. Your hair is not well dressed, your hair is not well oiled. So whereas the picture is picture perfect, right? So that also can be made. मास्क के बारे में बोल दिए, हैंड के बारे में बोल दिए, आई कंटैक्ट के बारे में बोल दिए. One more thing I would like to add in the eye contact part of it. When you were thinking, you were looking all around and you were primarily looking downwards. Don't do that. As said, just lower your gaze a little bit, and whenever you are thinking, take permission. Right? And one instance you took permission, and you said, "Can I take 2 seconds?" Don't quantify. Don't say 2 seconds. Can I take a few seconds? Right? When you said 2 seconds, but it took almost, I think, about 10, 12 seconds. Means you've gone wrong against what you yourself were committed. Communication skills good has been said. Sitting has been said. Smile has been said. Remember to keep that. Because at the latter part of the interview, I could see the smile fading a little bit. Right? When the third member was asking, I could see that smile was fading a little bit. Keep up your smile. You have a wonderful smile, and that will make a big difference. When you were thinking, you took permission. It was good. Keep it up. Feed के बारे में बोल दिया गया है. Whenever you were given new information, you thank the members. Good. That is what is required to be done. Look out for an opportunity to thank the members. Right? It shows your manners and etiquettes. Very nice. Answers were too long. बोल दिया गया है. But the best part of the whole thing was your self-realization, where you went wrong and what corrective measures you have taken. I love that. And even when you talked about scoring for yourself, you gave yourself scores based on how you realized how the performance went. So that was very good. I only hope you keep up and learn from all these learnings that you just now suggested. Hockey festival, you said World Cup hockey, I will take it as a festival. Wonderful answer. SWOT analysis of Rourkela, excellent answer. India of your dreams, excellent answer. Wardenaucus, awesome. The slogan, Sabki Awaz, was the icing on the cake. But when you were asked a quote, you did not mention a quote. You mentioned a statement which he had just made, but even that you did not remember correctly. You very correctly said Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji. Very nice. You gave it the due respect that he deserved. That was the right way of doing it, but you did not remember it correctly. So in such cases, it is advisable to remember something and say something which you really can remember exactly, not try remembering and then say, I'm sorry, I'm unable to. In that case, better you can say, I do not recall at the moment. It's good enough, right? Uh, one place where I felt uh, Project 75 is about conventional submarines, right? But one place where I felt you should have done better was about Kalinga Institute. You said your sister is studying there, right? And you visited the place. You should be knowing about it. Kalinga Institute basically is, you know who started it? So he is a person who is famous in India, very, very famous for that. He has a mission of, uh, teaching 2 million indigenous people, tribal people. And that is what his mission is. Very, very noble mission. So it is about tribals that he is trying to empower. That is where you should have a little more knowledge is required. Because when you talk in terms of Odisha, one name that springs to mind, apart from hockey, there one which you answered very well. One other name which springs to mind is KISS, the Kalinga Institute, right? So a little bit of knowledge there would do a lot of good to you. The scores that we're going to give you, let me tell you, whatever the scores are given to you, you still have scope of doing and bettering that also. I will not be surprised to see you in the merit list on a very high, but don't let complacency set in place. You worked very hard. Uh, let this be the last attempt and make sure that complacency is kept at arm's length. Right? All the very best. When is the interview, by the way?
Next month, same date, 11th of May.
Little bit of knowledge about the day of the interview also. 11th May ko kya hai? You remembered about Kisan Divas. You did not remember the actual the name as when you said wing commander, it's not the insignia. Insignia is
Yes, sir. I should have done that.
is the
Yes, sir.
it's the rank,
Rank.
designation, the rank. So remember, 23rd December ka bhi, as well as 11th of
May.
May ka. You do a lot of all the very best.
Thank you, sir.
Anup, public knowledge of yours is very good. Your language is good. Your communication is good. Hockey knowledge good. Non-veg answer was decent. And as rightly mentioned, the best point was sabki awaaz. I like it very much. But some improvements are needed. Apart from eye contact, your hand position, which was mechanical, you could have done better in this definition of state initially. Also, when asked about why you want to join civil services, you have mentioned respectable place in society. See, although it is the actual answer, everyone is striving for that only, but it might be taken in a wrong manner by the board that you are striving for prestige. You are prestige hungry. So try to avoid that. Show more of an attitude of public service, working on the ground, diversity, opportunity, etc. Okay, so avoid such kind of word. It is better if you do. Your answers could have been better in the questions like God and government. Precisely, I was asking you about how government is compared to God at multiple places. Suppose in socialist economies or form of government, where it is believed that government will provide everything in to everyone. So that is where government is compared to God. So that was the comparison which you would have to make. You in the initial segment of your answer, you gave the comparison of or the linkage between religion and government. That was not the question. The question was God and government. God is separate thing and religion is separate thing. Okay, it would have been better. Unjust law answer was not appropriate. You are an implementer of law. You are not concerned about whether law is just or unjust. Even if it is unjust, you said rightly that you'll consult some NGOs, you'll put forward some suggestions, what are improvements required. But your straightforward answer should have been in the first part of your answer only that I will implement the law. Okay, you are the implement. You are not there to decide the morality of law, whether it is just or not. Okay. Then the question regarding less roads, more cars. The simple answer would have been that, sir, India's tax to GDP ratio is not appropriate compared to OECD countries and emerging countries, and that is why government's tax collection is less, and government could not spend enough in roads. It is primarily because of tax evasion. So what happened is the amount which is avoided in tax payment, that is being used by the people or the masses to purchase cars. And that is what the vicious cycle is. The number of cars are increasing, but the road is not increasing proportionately. So that was the appropriate answer, which I was expecting. And the quotation, your Hindi is your mother tongue, right? तो हिंदी बोलना आता है अच्छे से? आपके कोटेशन जिस तरीके से आपने बताया, उससे भी मुझे लगा कि आप हिंदी में इतने फ्लुएंट नहीं है। क्या बात ये बात सही है? फ्लुएंट है आप, तो फिर कोटेशन अच्छा क्यों नहीं आप फ्रेम कर पाए? Because of
maybe anxiety only, sir, because I was thinking कि मैं what could I have said. So I could have said something like किसी भी कार्य में right now again, sir, this anxiousness.
My question was that you have to highlight your qualities, strengths, as well as your weakness in the quotation. You could have said, sir, I could frame a quotation only on qualities. If you permit me, I'll say. So you can take a permission on that, and you could have highlighted only strengths. है ना? लेकिन आपने वो भी नहीं किया, आपने पूरा ऑल टुगेदर वहां पे फंबल हो गया, सब गड़बड़ कर दिया। ठीक है, सो कोटेशन आप हिंदी में, इंग्लिश में एंड ओडिया, अगर आपको थोड़ी बहुत आती है, बिकॉज यू आर फ्रॉम ओडिशा, तो थोड़ी बहुत तो आती होगी, तो दे मे आस्क यू टू कोट अ स्टेटमेंट इन ओडिया एज वेल। तो उस ऐसे स्टेटमेंट्स तैयार करिए कि जिसमें कोई कंट्रोवर्सी ना हो, और उसमें आपकी जो पर्सनालिटी है, आपकी क्वालिटीज, इवन सम ऑफ योर वीकनेसेस, जिसको आप ओवरकम करते हुए नजर आए, ऐसे स्टेटमेंट्स आपको प्रिपेयर करने चाहिए। ठीक है, तो पहले से प्री प्लानिंग करके जाइए उसको। और जैसे ऑनरेबल मेंबर्स ने बताया, मुझे भी लग रहा है कि आपका लास्ट अटेम्प्ट होगा, आपने बहुत इंप्रूवमेंट किया है, आपका ओवरऑल इंटरव्यू काफी अच्छा था, एक्सेप्ट सम ऑफ द इंप्रूवमेंट्स व्हिच आर रिक्वायर्ड। ठीक है, आपके लास्ट कोर्स कैसे थे कुछ?
Last year I scored 165, and earlier, sir, first two attempt it was 140s. So last
अभी मुझे लग रहा है बहुत इंप्रूवमेंट कर लिया है आपने, और गुंजाइश भी है आगे इंप्रूवमेंट। ठीक है, आप 200 पार कैंडिडेट हैं आराम से।
Anup, before I disclose your marks, anything specific you would like to ask?
firstly, this is the first time I've opted for AWS. Till now, I wasn't a AWS candidate. So, can the or will the board ask me on my EWS, like, do you think you deserve it because you've studied in a good school, or say 5 years you are not doing anything, you're studying, so and belonging to AWS category, so don't you think you should have worked? So these kind of questions can be expected, sir.
They can be, and you have to prepare good answers for them, right? One rule that I will tell you, thumb rule that you should keep with yourself is never present yourself as if there is the system and you're ready to exploit it, right? Rather, you should take it that you have an opportunity and you have exercised that. It's not a system which you are exploiting, rather an opportunity which you are enjoying, right? Or you are, say, the law permits, everything else permits, right? So you say that when EWS, the scheme was released, then I fulfill all the criteria, and hence, because the government has allowed me, I have taken this this kind of this reservation, right? I have taken the benefits of the reservation. But definitely, the day I would come over that threshold income limit, I would be the first person to give up on this. Automatically, anyhow, it would be given up by that time, right? So this shows that you are taking, see, if government gives you free cylinders, free electricity, people take it, right? Irrespective of their capability to pay or not pay. But then the Honorable Prime Minister once, he appealed that those who can pay for the cylinders give up on your subsidies. It's almost like that. So you have to keep that thing in mind. And you have studied in good school. How you are managing your finances if you're not working, be prepared for a good answer for that. Are you still dependent on your father or other family members? Do Do you do any other kind of stuff? So keep that thing in mind, right? Where you showcase that you are self-sufficient economically, or even if you are dependent, you are not dependent like a parasite. To get it? Try to portray that thing. Okay, I'll just come back to that question, which was asked regarding an unjust law. Will you implement it? See, what you place at a higher pedestal, personal morality or public conscience?
Sir, conscience, public conscience.
And lawmakers, they are driven by public opinion, and public opinion are shaped by public conscience. So if that law is unjust, have faith in the people. Say this, that the people will definitely amend the law in future. I will implement the law because that's my civil services duty. Civil services code of conduct says this, that I have to be an executor, right, of law. But at the same time, I will also highlight my reservations where I feel the law is unjust. That section, not the entire law. I do not go for blanket statement. I will write my reservations about that law in the drafting section and send it to my superior authority. This shows that you have faith in public and you have faith in the system. Do you get it? Rather than taking an idealist position or a position like a journalist. That has to be incorporated.
Another question was about the non-vegetarian things. So how to handle these kind of questions, especially because I've studied in Karnataka, and these things are in news, say from hijab controversy, Ajan controversy, and this thing also. So how do we handle? What's my approach, right?
You said that we have the fundamental right to food and livelihood. So after consulting stakeholders, only the decision should be made. You handle it very well, and you should handle like this only, whatever the controversy is. See, the board member also knows that what is right and what is wrong and what is being done, what is politicized. So just present yourself like what you did today. That is more than sufficient. They won't go into too much detail of it because they know that it is a politically motivated issue. So they'll ask just a basic question: what is your political tilt, whether you are rightist or leftist or some religious biasness you have or not? What that is what they are checking.
Come across as constitutionalist, neither rightist nor leftist nor centrist, constitutionalist, right? So you back your statement with fundamental rights. At the same time, you should also keep a door open for democracy. If public, all the stakeholders, through consensus or mutual consent, they can come up with a solution wherein they can respect public sentiments. That would everybody should feel that the country is their own, right? Even the majority. Keep this thing in mind, right? That their sentiments also matter.
Specs is fine, or I've got one more specs. I just wanted to show you key. This thing I have won my last interview. This specs. Okay.
Ringless one is always.
Yes, it looks more sober.
It looks more sober. And I can see that. Do you have your hands shake ordinarily? Yes. They may ask you to write something. So, because here we have this kind of arrangement where there has to be a video feedback and all of that. That's why this distance and all. But in the real interview, you might have experiences that the distance could be much closer, right? They may give you a paper, a pen, ask you to write something, what you're feeling about today, or something like that, right? Never use the table unless you're asked to do so. Keep it like this, and you write. And if suppose you are too close and you cannot do that, then ask for the permission. Can I use the table to place the paper? And never do this. So can I get a pen? Something like that. Okay? But you're not allowed to take a pen either. Well, that's the presence of mind that they are trying to check. So in that case also you have to, they have given you the paper. Obviously they are willing to give you the pen, but they want to see at what you do. ये भी मत करना. Do not take without permission. The thing is, हो सकता है कुछ खा पी रहे हो, कुछ रखा हुआ है, तो हो सकता है कि आपको बोले कि लो खा लो कुछ, तो क्या करोगे? मान लो आपको ऑफर कर दिया कुछ, तो क्या करोगे? लोगे या मना कर दोगे? If somebody is offering you something, is it manners to say no constantly? आप किसी के घर जाते हो और बोलते हो नहीं नहीं मुझे कुछ नहीं खाना, मुझे कुछ नहीं खाना. You should take that because your senior is offering that, right? You should take that. Keep it in your hand. मैंने आपको लेने को कहा है, तुरंत खाने को नहीं कहा है, ठीक है? कई बार वो बोल सकते हैं कि ले लो, आप पसीने में दिख रहे हो, पानी पी लो, तो ये थोड़ा प्रैक्टिस कर लेना कि हाथ वाथ से पानी वानी न गिर जाए. इस पे आप फिर कॉन्शियस हो, पूरा इंटरव्यू खराब हो सकता है, ठीक है? तो अगर आप खाते भी हो तो जैसे ही आप उसको you will try to eat it, they'll ask you a question. In that case, do not start speaking with something in your mouth. Finish, apologize for the delay, and start. Right? Anything else?
One thing I would like to just say, the way you are sitting right now, you are slouching. You're not sitting erect. Yes, sit erect. That gives a different meaning to your personality. The way you were sitting, you were giving a feeling. I mean, obviously, you were taking this feedback as not part of the interview. But take that the whole setup, the whole time that you're going to be spending in the room as the interview, and do not get lethargic at the back end of the interview. Don't slouch, keep sitting erect. Practice to do that also.
Feet are again dragged beneath.
Let the feet not be coming, behind.
Under the chin.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
That is a sign of nervousness, anxiety. In no case behind your knees. Just keep that in mind. मेरे knees जहाँ पे है मेरे पैर भी वही होने चाहिए बस. As simple as that. That's all.
Distance between the knees.
आपको पहले बताया था.
जितना shoulder.
Your feet
close.
Toes open, heels together. As close as possible. It is not this position. It is this position. Yes. Right. Your heels can be a little closer also. Do not sit with your feet wide, your knees wide open. That open stance also is not required. This is perfect, but keep that erect back. That's very important.
Okay, so let me highlight the score that we have given you today based on this performance. Obviously, there is an improvement from 165. We have awarded you 185. But if you work hard, as rightly pointed out by everyone, Anup, you are in. The only person who is standing between you and your selection is you. Do not allow, as Sir rightly pointed out, do not allow complacency to creep in, right? And work on these areas. Long answers, I'm again repeating one more time. Long answers, eye contact, and do not misquote. Clear? So work on these areas, definitely. You'll make it. All the best.
All the best.